And welcome to the sixth weekly pandemic open mic Monday, um, which is every Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific, noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT, 7 p.m. Central European Time, and in the middle of the night in East Asia and Australia. And you can I got on the bottom on the scrolling screen readout on the bottom. It actually tells you how to sign up for the next one if you're not signed up for this one at davidrovics.com/POMM, where you can also watch the open mic among many other platforms, including the Facebook page of Popular Resistance and Cebu Community Radio. Um, and we got a whole bunch of people signed up coming right up for the open mic on both sides of the Atlantic, as has been the case generally for various reasons, including who I happen to know. And I've already told the first several guests what order they're coming in on, and I'll be telling other folks about that too, who just came into the green room, the virtual green room. And as usual, I'll kick off the open mic with a song of my own, in this case, one I just wrote a couple days ago. And it has been generally the case that quality of the guests has been very high and has often been related to recent events. So I'm particularly looking forward to hearing what anybody may have written about the past week. But as is often what happens at this open mic, but it's a decidedly political bunch that keeps on signing up. Could have something to do with where it's being hosted and a lot of other factors, or just what people are writing about. When I've hosted other open mics in the physical world, even though they were not explicitly political in nature, they generally attracted a lot of people who wrote about the world around them. And I think that's because that's what people write about when they're not trying to sell lots of records. Are people still lynched in America? What happens when they die? When he begged for his mother to save him, was he resisting arrest when he cried? And how does the lynch mob roam free when we already know who they are? The men who murdered George Floyd and then drove off in their police cars. To live with such savage injustice, with every new day the earth turns, I'm left with no reason to wonder as I watch Minneapolis burn. Are people still lynched in America? How many just in the past weeks? From Georgia to Minnesota, as the pandemic spikes and peaks. Did you see him pinned down for 8 minutes? Did you see the knee on his neck? Did you see the police station on fire? Did you smell the smoldering wreck? As the National Guard marches in, watch the wheels of history turn in the land of Philando Castile as we watch Minneapolis burn. Are people still lynched in America? And do the poor still die of disease? Are the prisons still full of debtors? Do bodies still hang from the trees? Do the workers still live by the highways, still struggle to come up with rent? Do families still get evicted when the last of their credit is spent? Do you see all the people who just had to find out what there might be left to learn from the flames that rise from the target as we watch Minneapolis burn? Are people still lynched in America? And what happens when they die? When he begged for his mother to save him, was he resisting arrest when he cried? And with just a momentary moment of further ado, gonna go to the open mic's first guest, who has been on the open mic. I'm very happy to say, I think on every one we've done, most of them anyway, and always with another fantastic short story that he wrote, or chapter of a longer story, or some combination thereof. From on the other side of the Atlantic, from here, Stephen McRandall. Wonderful to have you back.
Thanks a lot for having us on, David. I'm sorry about America. What the fuck?
Yeah, sorry about America. Yeah. I've been sorry about America for a long time.
Yeah, it just seems horrendous.
Yeah, it's
a
very interesting situation.
I'll tell you a story from nothing much has happened to me this week. I was called out on a wee farce of a eviction yesterday. There's people squatting in a house in an old building that's not being used, and it's quite a big space. And we put on a few gigs there and stuff like that, and had fun there. But yesterday there was sawing at some one of the eaves. And a policeman went past, and he could see them, and he came back with more police, and they didn't let them in. And then they came with an armed response unit, so they let them in because what the fuck, and they let them in, but nothing happened. They just swarmed all over the place and then left. I got a call at the time I went down; they were gone already.
They didn't carry out the eviction. There was an armed response unit.
I don't know.
They came with the police came with guns. You're saying the police because in Ireland it's quite unusual. The police showed up with guns, and then they did not go in to
They went into the building, but they did nothing. They've been to the building before. They had one attempted eviction before, and the people fought them off. They came in then with the armed response unit, but I think they got embarrassed when they get into the place. I mean, like, there's a lot of vegans there or something. Let's kill them. It's like there's nobody doing anything. They put on shows, and on a Monday night they put on show you how to fix a bicycle and stuff like this here.
Dangerous stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, yesterday it was a bit of a farce, but that's the only exciting thing that's happened.
That's pretty good excitement. That's pretty good.
Socialize with people that I know and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's good, seeing people.
Yeah. I'll read you this story from back in the day in Belfast. It's called Break Thatcher's Back. It's just a short story. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So it's called Break Thatcher's Back. Manus watched as Yvonne led her 3-year-old daughter, Vanessa, through the security gate of the high, razor-wire topped fence that surrounded the flat-roofed box affair, which was her nursery. From the bulletproof door, Vanessa waved goodbye and blew an innocent 3-year-old kiss. Manus pursed his lips and raised his cup to Vanessa. He took a gulp from his cup. It contained tequila and made him shudder as he swallowed. "Well, are you going with me?" Yvonne asked as she got back in the car and slammed the door so hard the old Mini near fell apart. Yvonne was going to the dentist and wanted Manus to go with her. "Yeah," answered Manus. She was not one to say no to. She had sharp features, like all the softness had been chiseled away. It matched her personality. They drove along the River Lagan embankment, on one side of which, spotted with clumps of flowering daffodils and early bluebells, stood the green, grassy slopes of the Ormeau Park. Manus had pleasant memories of those slopes, walking with his father, picking mushrooms, but he did not mention these memories to Yvonne. On the side of the river along which they drove stood rows of blocked-up terraced houses, with every now and then an unblocked house within which a family, or more likely an old couple, still lived. Yvonne said she had a friend who used to live in one of the houses which now had breeze blocks instead of windows. Her friend, she said, had gone out one day and his mutilated body had been recovered months later. She slowed the car down to point out the house, and Manus raised his cup to Yvonne's friend that used to be. Matching horror stories was still a favourite pastime in Belfast, But Manus refrained on this occasion and contented himself with another shot of tequila. The shore road where her dentist was a completely unexplored area for Manus. Yvonne had been brought up on and burnt out off the shore road as a child, but she still had her dentist there and knew the streets well. When she went into the dentist, he went into the shop, bought 20 fags, and since they didn't have any real lemon, he bought a plastic Jif lemon container. He had already drunk half the bottle and figured it wouldn't matter to break with tradition. His rag-tailed hair, stubby growth of a beard, and bleary, bloodshot eyes would have appeared almost threateningly inappropriate in the clinical confines of dentist surgery. So Manus sat in the car, squeezing Jif lemon juice into his mouth and shooting tequila by the cupload. The convoys of soldiers and police could not have outnumbered the civilian population, but their heavy, armoured vehicles and weapons certainly dominated. One police armoured vehicle parked directly in front of Yvonne's Mini. Manus wondered if he should hide the tequila. Was it illegal to drink so early in the morning? The registration number for the car was on the back seat instead of being fastened between the back wheels. That was definitely illegal. Two other police armoured vehicles arrived, and then the reinforced steel doors with the slanted slits in them opened, and two flak-jacketed uniforms with machine guns got out and went into the shop. He came back out with lots of cigarettes and sweeties and then drove off. Manus chain smoked. Armed uniforms always made him nervous. By the time she came out of the dentist, he had drunk most of the bottle and felt ready and capable to face the grey, dismal day. Her mouth was frozen and looked ridiculous when she tried to smile. She looked even sillier when she tried to smoke a cigarette. They stopped at the lights directly behind a police vehicle, which had its back doors open. The flap-jacketed police held rifles in their hands, fingers on the triggers, and under the armed police's nervous scrutiny, Manus stroked Yvonne's head and shoulders. When they picked Vanessa up from the nursery, she showed them her drawings of faces with matchstick bodies and legs. Then they drove home. At the same time as they pulled up outside their home, two other cars pulled up just beside them. The occupants of the other two cars were dressed in smart, casual clothes. Manus thought there was something familiar about them, but was too drunk to know what. He smiled as they took a Labrador dog out of the back of one of their cars. Yvonne hustled him off the street then, and as she closed the door behind him, drug up.
Having some connectivity issues with Stephen. Hopefully they're going to get resolved momentarily, but they don't seem to be. God, that was a fantastic story. I want to hear more. Where'd Stephen go? Stephen,
who they doing? He asked her, and she nodded down the street. Them young punks.
Oh, we just lost him completely. Stephen McRandall, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what's going on, but I suspect your Wi-Fi signal is too popular at the moment or something. I don't know. Everybody's trying to watch what's happening in the burning cities of America over there in Ireland, or where are you? You're in England somewhere, actually. But anyway, the Wi-Fi crapped out on you, but that was Stephen McRandall, and this is a live open mic, and in live open mics, this kind of stuff happens, and this just like the live radio and live TV, except it's like there are more bad things that can happen with a live stream broadcast because whatever, too many other technological factors. But that was the brilliant Stephen McRandall, and hopefully we can try again with that story at another time in the near future. But we do have a fantastic lineup of folks coming up who hopefully will have better luck with their connections, and we're going now back to North America, specifically to somebody who grew up in the great state of Minnesota, in right near the police station that is now a smoldering ruin. Per Andreasen,
Hey,
how is life there in the Midwest?
I mean, up here it's weirdly normal. We had a couple of a couple of actions on Saturday. There was a march in Fargo that had about 5,000 people, which is
absolutely astounding.
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever been a march in Fargo that big.
Yeah.
I mean, even like during the Iraq War in 2003, when they did have marches in Fargo, I don't think they had anything like that.
No,
Did they?
everyone I talked to there said this was totally unprecedented.
Yeah,
Um,
it's amazing.
and I came back home that afternoon as the daytime action was sort of winding down, and so I wasn't there for whatever went down in the evening. But there was also a vigil here in East Grand Forks for George Floyd that had over 200 people, which considering
Astounding.
right, we're a town of a couple thousand as of the last census, and yeah, some folks were were coming in from across the river, but
Yeah. I mean, the numbers we're talking about here, if people have any idea about the towns you're talking about,
yeah,
it's really amazing.
you're right. I mean, it's not a shade on, like, pure numbers wise, it's nothing on some of the big protests that are happening, but as far as unprecedented turnout for these towns.
Yeah, and for the size of these towns, Fargo is a sleepy town
Yeah.
by any standard.
Though they do have a great anarchist-run coffee shop.
Oh,
shout
cool.
out to Red Raven Espresso.
Oh, excellent.
So, yeah, if you're ever through the area, hit up the Red Raven. They book shows.
Actually, in the days that I used to tour in the U.S., North Dakota and Mississippi are the two states I have never actually had a gig in.
Well, we'll have to get you on stage at the Red Raven so you can cross that one off.
I think so. Let's hear what you got.
Okay, this is a song. I wrote a couple of years ago when I was living in New Mexico, and it was my birthday, and I was homesick, and yeah, Minneapolis, I may not be there in body, but I'm with you in spirit. I remember walking empty streets on nights too cold for snow. The scudding city dust and the numbing of my toes. The conversations carried out against our chattering teeth. The frozen over horror shows their pale shadows underneath. But life can bring on fevers that refuse to break. This limping run under desert sun leaves me longing for the lakes. We paddled out in a canoe as rusted as my dreams, to trace the flares of fireworks back to fog-bound screams of laughter from the front porch of folks too rich to hide their bacchanals behind walls. That night I nearly died. Well, when I fell, you picked me up, held a bandage to my face, Now I'm numb from time, unstrung and longing for the lakes. We drank beyond all sense of self, but it wasn't all we did. Swimming laps in the park pools built for little kids. We fell asleep on bad bus seats under fluorescent grins. Traded hugs of comfort and ragged gasps of skin. And now dial tones are empty graves, friendships seldom slaked. I left to find myself, but found a longing for the lakes. There were shootings in the alleyways and sometimes the streets, and gentrifying neighborhoods called their relentless drum beats to the racist cops and cavalry, but standing on the stoop I could hear half a dozen languages and chickens in their coops. I'll be back to fight for the home I love, no matter what it takes. I can't live forever with this longing for the lakes.
Lovely pair. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll hope to see you in cyberspace and in Minnesota and elsewhere.
Yep.
Sometime in the near future.
Someday.
Yes.
All right. Take care.
Take care, pal. And with no further ado, if anybody is trying to sign up, there should now be room for at least one or two more people. I know just several people attempted to get in the queue a few minutes ago and were rebuffed by the bot, but you should be able to get in now. And then, if not, try again in a few minutes. Thank you. And now going back across to the other side of the Atlantic to Birmingham, England, specifically, we have Graham Langley and Pam Bishop right there in the same couch.
Yeah, indeed.
How are you holding up?
Oh, we're holding up pretty well. We are, in fact, we're just incredibly busy doing stacks of stuff. I mean, the gardens never look so good, frankly.
There's a lot of serious gardening going on. I mean, if you're not burning down the city, you're planting a garden. It seems to be the.
I've been tearing down hedges and bushes, which is pretty hard going. But also, we've been doing quite a lot of work. We're running lots of events online, and since April, we've put out 3 editions of Sing Political.
Wow.
So,
that's a lot. It's usually like more of a monthly or less kind of thing.
No, it's more. It's actually about once a year.
Right.
Occasionally we have 2 in a year, but we've just got the PDF of the latest one. We're putting them online now. PDF of the latest one went up this afternoon. Where can people find that PDF? Pam will tell you now.
What did you say?
Oh, sorry, I can't hear you. Where can they find Sing Political?
Oh, if you go to our website, there's on the homepage. There's a link to Sing Political, and if you go there, you can download any of the current ones, 3 current ones, or even a combined one that we just put up today.
Yeah.
Remind me of your website. I know there are people interested. They kept on. People were asking me, and I'm not sure if I even got the information to them. But what was your website again?
Well, me and Pam run a setup called the Trad Arts Team. Mm-hmm. So and our website is www.tradartsteam.co.uk.
Good.
And and if you and where's the link on the? Is it on the front page?
It's on the homepage.
It's on the homepage. You can click on it, and
is that right?
I
just put it there. So anybody who wants that songbook, any of those PDFs and stuff, go to that website and look for Sing Political.
Yes.
And if anybody wants to send us a song, we'll probably when we've got a sufficiency of songs, we'll probably do a new one. The latest one is less decorative than previous editions, just to get the songs out.
Yeah, excellent. Right. I understand. That's always my problem too. Like I get the lyrics and then I want to make it look good, but I'm not a graphic artist and I'm not patient either. So, yeah. What you got for us today?
Well, this is going to be in the latest edition, and
just let me say, and also the one that I did last week, which people were asking about, is also in the latest edition. Yeah.
Oh, excellent! Great.
I've had an idea for a song for a while, which I haven't quite got around to writing because I couldn't find a format for it, which is it's an historical story about the enclosures in Britain when various people, the landed gentry, grabbed more and more land to themselves. And even now they continue to grab land. And if they don't grab land, they want to grab the NHS, they want to grab the schools, they just want to claw everything back. So that process of enclosures has gone on for a long time. And I've gone back to when the enclosures first started, which was during the Black Death, the plague in Britain in the 14th century. So I've gone back to then with that plague and brought it up to date.
Wonderful.
Okay, off you go. In 1350 we received the warning when 50 million Europeans died. Rats were the ones who carried the plague and brought a black death to end their lives. Another plague of rats were there in hiding. This time their target was the land. The rich and the powerful were grabbing all they could, pushing out the people their own wealth to expand. In 1665 we had a warning. The Great Plague brought London city down. The plague pits were open to swallow up the dead. The poor had no resistance in this rat-infested town. The rich ran away, left for the country. The purple death spread amongst the poor. All the rats were there to grab everything they could, enclosing land they never owned before. In 1918 we had a warning. A deadly flu spread like a flowing tide. Death came quickly to the soldiers and the poor, but the bosses and the government just lied. The rats were the generals and commanders, using censorship to hide the truth. 50 million people died around the world while their war took the best of our youth. In 2016 we had a warning. A report came out that made it very clear. A new pandemic would soon head our way, but the Tories just turned a deaf ear. The report called for preparation, stockpiles and plans that should be made. No action was taken in these neoliberal times. For big business, there's no profits to be made. In December 19, we had a warning. Dr. Wenlang saw a viral thread. His inconvenient truth was silenced by the state. Now thousands round the world are lying dead. The leaders of the world try to deny it. Business as usual, they cry. It's just like the flu or a really nasty cold. Trading closures have to be denied. In January we had a warning, but Johnson said there's no need for alarm. the nation will build up herd immunity, just like cattle living on a farm. 10 years of cuts have left this country bleeding. No PP, the stocks are very small. Suddenly a money tree to keep us all alive, and the nurses are the heroes after all. From the bosses, it's time to take a warning, plotting to take everything they can. They want the schools, hospitals and streets. It's all part of their neoliberal plan. We know the real rats that are the problem. Across the world they are the real plague, sucking up the profit till there's nothing left. But soon there'll be a reckoning to be made. Today we are giving them a warning. We know that you rats have had your day. We will see that the tide is starting to turn, and you will all be swept away. So let's join the nurses and bus drivers, the shelf stackers, cleaners, carers too. They're essential workers, the ones we really need, and one day soon we're coming after you. Yes, one day soon we're coming after you.
Yes, fantastic, wonderful, great putting it into all kinds of context. Thank you guys so much for joining another open mic.
You're very welcome. We look forward to seeing you again sometime.
Yes, I hope so. Yes,
and
next
when
week
you go
would be great.
When you go to our website, if anybody wants to join in our song sessions, you can find information on our website there as well.
Yeah, and those are like the online open mics that you guys are doing kind of like twice a month or something like that these days?
That's right. Yeah. Well, every fortnight.
Which is 2 weeks, right? A fortnight?
Yeah.
That's one of those Britishisms I can never remember what it means, but yeah, we don't use fortnight over here.
It means what it means.
Yeah, okay. Good.
Brilliant. Nice to see you, David.
Take care.
Yeah, bye.
It's great to see you, Grant. Bye, Pam. And that was Graham Langley and Pam Bishop, and fantastic. And then somebody tried to get into the queue, and there should be room for you. And then next we have fantastic. At least last week he was playing the banjo, fantastic Union song. And what you got for us this week, Mike Marker? Great to see you.
Great to be here. Great to be here, David. I have to tell you, last night in Vancouver, it was a most remarkable thing. Downtown Vancouver, we assembled almost 4,000 people in a solidarity protest to support those people in the United States and all over that are struggling to try and bring to light the horrible racist violence that is just a perennial event in the United States. So, and I wanted to share this with you. I'm going to do another song, but and I hope this doesn't break the rules, but I just wanted to play a little bit of this one song that I sang for people last night from the steps of the art museum. And the reason I want to do it is because I think this song could be revived and it could be really useful for a lot of folks out there that might be watching. It's an old song from Bob Dylan, believe it or not. And you see if you don't remember this. So I talked with the organizer, a couple of the organizer folks, and I just said, this is all wonderful and the speeches are great, but let's get people singing. And they said, "Do you think you can do that?" That's
usually the problem with protests.
I think I can do that. We need to be singing in. So I said to people, I just said, "Join in with me. Here's your chorus. You playboys and playgirls ain't gonna run my world. Ain't gonna run my world. No, you ain't gonna run my world. You playboys and playgirls ain't gonna run my world. Not now or no other time. Then you can add other verses. Like I did this one about, people were making them up and sending them to me. And there was this one that goes, Google, Facebook, and Amazon, yeah, they're gonna run my world. No, yeah, and on, you know. And by the time, because it's such a great simple chorus, by the time you're done, I mean, I had hundreds of people singing with me, and it was just really so that is so somebody else I see here, somebody else has been figuring this out too. It's a great song though, to get, because it's so simple. A lot of these songs are not that simple. So we're in Canada. The black-white issue is very different. What we have is an issue around colonization and Indigenous people and the way that they're treated. It's horrible, particularly in cities like Winnipeg and Saskatoon. So there's a terrible racism going on. And it's really all about colonization. So Lynn suggested that I do this very old song. And so I'd like to send it out to my friends and comrades in the UK, because one of the things that I've been doing is, as a folk singer, is making the connection between the condition of being colonized if you're Irish and the condition of being colonized if you're Indigenous, and there's some important connections with that. Just a second, I have to plug in the power thing. It's telling me I'm a bit low. Just take a second here. Okay, that is. So this is a song, a very old song, and I'm not going to explain it because it takes too long, but I'll just play it. Now me and my cousin, one Arthur McBride, as we went a strolling down by the seaside. Now mark what followed, what did betide, for it being on Christmas morning. Out for recreation, we went on a tramp, and we met Sergeant Napper and Corporal Vamp, and a little wee drummer intending to camp, for the weather was pleasant and charming. Good morning, Sergeant, he cried, and the same to you, gentlemen, we did reply, intending no harm, but meant to pass by, for it being on Christmas morning. But says he, my fine fellows, if you will enlist, it's 10 guineas in gold I will slip in your fist, and a crown in the bargain for to kick up the dust, and drink the king's health in the morning. For a soldier he leads a very fine life, and he always is blessed with a charming young wife. And he pays all his debts without sorrow or strife, and always lives pleasant and charming. And a soldier he always is decent and clean, in the finest of clothing he's constantly seen, while other poor fellows go dirty and mean, and sup on thin gruel in the morning. But says Arthur, I wouldn't be proud of your clothes, for you've only the lend of them, so I suppose, and you dare not change them one night, for you know, if you do, you'll be flogged in the morning. And although that we are single and free, we take great delight in our own company, and and we have no desire strange faces to see. Although that your offers are charming, and we have no desire to take your advance, all hazards and dangers we barter to chance, for you'd have no scruples but to send us to France, where we would be shot without warning. Oh no, says the sergeant, I'll have no such chat, and I neither will take it from spalpeen or brat. And if you insult me with one other word, I'll cut off your heads in the morning. And then Arthur and I, we soon drew our hods, and we scarce gave them time for to draw their own blades, when a trusty shillelagh came down on their heads and made them look sharp in the morning. And their old rusty rapiers that hung by their side, we cast them as far as we could in the tide. Now tuck them buck devils, cried Arthur McBride, and temper their edge in the morning. And the little wee drummer, we flattened his pow, and we made a football of his rowdy-dow-dow, cast it in the sea for a rock and a roll, and bade it a tedious returning. Now, so to conclude, and to settle disputes, we obligingly asked if they wanted recruits, for we were the lads that would give them sharp clouts and bid them look sharp in the morning. To me and my cousin, one Arthur McBride, as we went a-strolling down by the seaside. Now mark what followed and what did betide, for being on Christmas morning.
Mike Marker in Vancouver, BC, thank you so much. See you again, I hope.
Oh, for sure. I'll be back next week.
Oh, excellent. Excellent.
Sign me up.
I will. See you then.
Thanks, David.
Thank you. And, oops, what did I make? Here we go. And with no further ado, I have to come up with some new phrases for that one. Coming right up now, we have, wait a sec. I'm doing some housekeeping here. Yeah. Neil Kahan. Hey.
Hey.
How are you holding up?
I'm all right. I made my 75th mutual aid safety kit, or mask for short, so I'm quite happy with that.
Mutual aid safety kit. What's in a mutual aid safety kit?
It's a mask. M-A-S-K.
Okay. It's excellent. Nice acronym.
Yeah, I'm pleased with that.
Yeah.
Nothing useful to say about Minneapolis. Just sorrow, solidarity. I'm not going to try and say anything on it.
Those are excellent themes. You got a poem or something for us today?
Yes, I do. So a little bit of preamble. There's an AI called Botnik, which will generate a predictive keyboard, so like your phone has, from any text. So I fed this AI every piece of guidance that the Conservative government has produced on COVID-19.
Great.
And using that keyboard, generated the 10 COVID commandments as according to the Conservative government.
Oh, fantastic.
So, without further ado, 1. The UK is pushing to the next phase of the virus being out of control. 2. People should not change with the best scientific advice. 3. The government will continue following New Zealand to minimize everyone. 4. The government will continue to be reserved for children. 5. For example, individuals should only leave windows from the 11,041st of June. 6. In place of people who elect overweight and solemnly enacted symptoms, start to ensure that time spent by vaccination is not allowed. 7. This document is not possible. 8. People are eased by Google since health services are unable to demonstrate with strict restrictions. 9. And the armed forces will seek their mouth if one person from outside their workplace is not being overwhelmed. And 10. For the extraordinary administrations of infection and the best threat to life will continue in place. And there we have it.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you for having me again. It's been a great night.
Excellent.
Thanks,
Thank
Liz.
you. See you again, I hope.
Definitely.
Good. Neil Kahan. Oh, there we are. There we are. Technical. Yes. Okay. And skipping back across the Atlantic now to the northeastern U.S. Pat Lamana. Hey.
Hey, David. I guess that last little poem just shows that artificial intelligence is neither.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So we had a vigil in Poughkeepsie last night, and I see a little icon that says share screen. Would it be possible for me to share my screen and show a photo from that candlelight vigil?
Oh, let's see.
You know?
I've never tried that share screen. I don't even know what it does.
Okay.
Let's see. We can find out.
It says friendly heads up. Oops. Chrome has a bug that can cause screen sharing to crash on Windows 10. It's pretty rare, but if it happens, you may want to use Firefox to share your screen. Well, maybe I better not.
Interesting.
Because I'm in Chrome and it would take a while to get into Firefox, and never mind.
Right.
But I wrote a song a number of years ago about Trayvon Martin, and when I wrote it, I thought, I thought at the time that, well, this is going to be, I'll be able to sing it for a few months and then it'll be all over. But actually,
you're very optimistic.
Not so much, right? So it's called Gray Hoodie, and you might see I'm wearing a gray hoodie right now.
Excellent. I remember a lot of people were wearing hoodies at that time. Yeah,
and that's part of the song. I do want to say, because I couldn't share the picture, I did put it on Facebook, and it's just this beautiful picture of people lining a major arterial in Poughkeepsie with candles on both sides. Hundreds of people, which in Poughkeepsie that's a big deal.
That's a lot, yeah.
And peaceful. And mostly silent, and just such a relief after what we've been seeing on TV. So anyway, this song, I always start it when I'm live by snapping my fingers and telling people, you have to snap along with me because I'm white. But you're not going to be snapping along with me because you'll be off by half a second. At least that's what Paul Kaplan says. So I'm going to hope that I can snap my fingers on a regular basis. And if it starts getting distracting, I'll just stop and I'll just sing the song. Trayvon Martin walked down to the store, bought iced tea and Skittles, nothing more. Walked back to his dad's house, he was all alone, talking to his friend on the telephone. He wore a gray hoodie. He wore a gray hoodie. He wore a gray hoodie, and he got mowed down. George Zimmerman called 911, but he was really itching to use his gun. The police told him, you stay in your car, but he followed that boy through the rain and the dark. He wore a gray hoodie. He wore a gray hoodie. He wore a gray hoodie, but he got mowed down. Now in the state of Florida, they got this law. Says you can shoot first and then ask what for. They didn't convict Zimmerman of any offense, 'cause he told them he was acting in self-defense. It was that gray hoodie. He wore a gray hoodie. He wore a gray hoodie, and he got mowed down. Now I'm sitting here before you in a gray hoodie. Do you think that anybody's gonna come after me? No, I'm an old white woman, so I must be okay. Why does this still happen in the US of A? He wore a gray hoodie. It was a gray hoodie. He wore a gray hoodie and he got mowed down. He wore a gray hoodie and he got mowed down.
Thank you, Pat.
You're welcome. Thank you, David.
Thanks
You're
for
doing a
coming
great
back.
job with this open mic.
Oh, thank you. It's because people are participating, like you.
Well,
Thank
we're
you.
participating because you're such a good MC.
Oh, good. Hopefully it works both ways like that. That's the idea.
Yep.
Take care. See you next time, I hope.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
And then, not intentionally, but as it happens, once again, crossing back over the Atlantic, Bernard Puckett. Wonderful to have you back.
Hello.
Hey, what's been happening there in the?
Well, I found out that I had, earlier on today we had a Zoom ukulele club, and one of the guys who's in his 70s, he actually had COVID and was in hospital and came out on April the 10th, and is still suffering with it in the way that it's a bugger of a thing. It scars your lungs, and the older you are, the worse it is. So that's, I suppose, on the local news. On the online stuff, we've just put Trad to Mad May down, and we're about to have Trad to Mad June. So
yes,
the online singing competition. If anyone's interested, they can Google us up on Islington Folk Club.
Islington Folk Club and Trad to Mad number 2.
Trad to Mad, spelled TRAD 2 MAD. So
yes,
that's that. And I've got my own little project of doing 10 local songs and 10 little videos about sort of mainly about buses and things locally in the area, keep it local. But for you tonight, this comes from our first visit to America, a holiday where we went to Savannah, Charleston, and Myrtle Beach. Basically, we were sort of, and I suppose it was the realization that the Civil War was still being fought by some people down there, and it starts off that we had a walking tour of Savannah, and the man who did it had glaucoma, and he knew his way around because he obviously lived there all his life and he knew all the stories and everything, but he was sort of watching for the curbs and would need a bit of guidance and things as we went round. And he was very interested. He said, "What do you think of social medicine?" And we thought, I don't think we know what social medicine is, sort of in the way one lives with the NHS. And then there was about 6 of us, and he asked where we were all from. And one of the ladies was from Savannah, but she'd married someone from New York. And he said, "How come you married a Yankee?" The sort of, and there were a number of sort of tones of that. And some of this song has got some of that.
Right.
Okay, it's called Savannah on My Mind. Hired a Chevy in Atlanta, drove down Highway 16. A blind man in Savannah showed me what he'd seen. A man with a plan, squares that please, Spanish moss hanging from live oak trees, Hired a Chevy in Atlanta, drove down Highway 16. A blind man in Savannah showed you what he'd seen. Robert E. Lee and slavery, Native Americans and bravery, Southern manners and Southern charm, hide the hate and hide the harm. Hired a Chevy in Atlanta, drove down Highway 16. A blind man in Savannah showed you what he'd seen. Freebird played in Atlanta town. General Sherman burned it down. War is hell, we can see. Peace ain't cheap, freedom ain't free. Hired a Chevy in Atlanta, drove down Highway 16. A blind man in Savannah showed you what he'd seen. Moon River man on the Mulberry Grand, while English folk played a wild rummy hand, with runs in suits and three of a kind. Savannah dreaming, Georgia on my mind. Hired a Chevy in Atlanta, drove down Highway 16. Blind man in Savannah showed you what he'd seen. Thank you.
What am I doing here? I'm pressing all kinds of
say hello to
interesting
Rob.
buttons. That was Rob, and which I accidentally brought onto the screen. And I didn't mean to do that, but while we're mentioning it, he's coming up, and he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bernard.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. And yeah, I'm trying to produce, engineer, and host at the same time, and it's working sort of nominally, and but luckily, at least putting the guests on and getting off the screen is going well. That's the main thing. And coming right up immediately in the about half a second is Pete Granowit. Hey, I think your mic is muted though, so you might want to just unmute that. There we go.
It is, and I just wanted to say the food in the green room really is not that great.
Yeah, I got an espresso machine, but I just haven't figured out how to serve the drinks. Like, yeah. My toddler can make drinks for me while I'm working. He's a great barista at the age of 4, and I'd love to show off his barista skills for everybody else, but
It was a show highlight, I must say, seeing your toddler.
Oh, that was the baby. There's one. Oh, she can't make espresso drinks yet.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So how are you, David?
What you got for us today? We got a 2-second delay. I'm doing fine, really. But yeah, a lot of people are not. But how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Just the rage everywhere on so many levels is just, it's so palpable today. It's just, it's really sad.
Yes.
I realize though that the path forward for me, and I'm hoping for others, I know that there's a wide variety of people who don't agree with what's happening, but I just feel like we need to get more practical, sensible people in power. And so that's why I've been focusing on elections. And I started to play all these shows for state legislative candidates. And now I'm doing them online like you're doing this. And you're doing a fantastic job with this production. I have to learn from you. But there's a group of us that are trying.
Oh, thank you. It's been a learning curve.
Yeah, I am definitely in the steep part of the curve. But I think we're going to do maybe 60 or so shows between now and the election online. So, yep. So I'm ready to play a song.
Fantastic. Great.
Yeah. So this song was written about a year ago, and it was part of the frustration that I think many of us are feeling. And I was participating in a lot of those active discussions on social media and feeling like, well, I was being accused of certain things. And then I read, an article in the New York Times which quoted something that some chants in a Trump rally during the election, and I had thought of that when I was writing the song. It kind of brought that back into the song because it just was so it made me so angry. So I turned it into a song like we do. I'm a libtard, a fucking snowflake. Don't need civility with civil disobedience. Tiki torches expose the darkness. Unambiguous moral equivalence. Like a kid in a cage, is this what we've become? When they lead with the joy of hate, a house divided cannot be great. Something we should know, we need to know. Are we great yet? Trump that bitch, build a wall, then they yell, kill them all. Strip that we are on, something we should know, we need to know. Are we great yet?
Rock and roll. Thank you, Pete.
Rock and roll. Great. Thanks, David.
We have a delay. So, yeah, thank you so much. See you again soon.
All right. See you.
Same mistake over and over again. And here we go. Try it now. That got it there. And staying in the United States for the moment. Moving to Western Massachusetts. Paul Kaplan, wonderful to have you back.
Hi, David. Nice to be back.
What's been happening?
Well, I wanted to say that something happens here in Amherst in Massachusetts once a month. For the last 20 years, I've been hosting we call the Song and Story Swap, where we have a special guest and we also have a theme. And I'm mentioning it now because this Saturday, we are now online, and I've been trying to do what you do and host this thing. And people from all over the country or world could join in if they register.
Wonderful.
And,
where can they find it? What's the URL? Or
right. It's HTTP, PVFS, Pioneer Valley Folklore Society.
Oh, yeah.
There's no www, but .us, pvfs.us. And they have to go there to register even if they just want to watch. The theme is survival. So you can present a song or a story within our about 75 minutes limit on survival. And then we have our special guest, who's Gordon Thomas Ward from Winter Harbor, Maine, and he'll be virtually singing to us. So just wanted to mention that.
Wonderful.
June is we go September to June, so this will be our last one for now. So today I have a song that I wrote a few years ago, and it's a little controversial in that it's in the first person, and it's clearly not me. It's from a completely different cultural group, and some might call it appropriation, but I wanted to sing it today because I think it's especially appropriate. And if anyone wants to let me know they think it's a bad idea, I'd be happy to accept that and to think about that. But we'll see how it goes. It's called "I'm a Survivor." I've got a recorder here. It may be the first on your Pandemic Mondays. If it's too loud, cut in and tell me that it's breaking up. Let's see if I know how to do it. I am an African, I live in Sierra Leone, and when the locusts came, they ate the crops I'd grown, but they're not hard to catch, and when I brought them home, they did not taste too bad. I'm a survivor. I am a prisoner upon a stormy sea, under a bloody moon, chained in captivity. My spirit won't be drowned, they can't take that from me. I'll rise above my tears, I'm a survivor. I am a laborer beneath the burning sun. At night my master comes so he can have his fun. My children, all of them, were sold in Charleston. They carry all my dreams. I'm a survivor. I am a sharecropper on this poor patch of land. I want to scream above the hoofbeats of the clan, but no one hears the cries of 3/5 of a man. And so I bite my tongue. I'm a survivor. I am a citizen. I have the right to vote. Though I know if I try, they just might slit my throat. But I have come so far from that dark slavery boat, so I'll keep marching on. I'm a survivor. It's on the video for everyone to see. The things they've always done throughout my history. That's just the way it is, but does not have to be. Someday I will be free. I'm a survivor. That's it.
Beautiful melody, Paul. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, gorgeous. I'll see you again soon, I hope.
All right. I hope so too. Take care of yourself.
You too. Paul Kaplan from Massachusetts. And then moving down south along the I-95 corridor several hundred miles to Georgia.
Yo,
Bergie,
what's up?
great to have you back. How are you holding up?
Good to be back.
Wonderful. How's
Yeah.
Decatur?
It's good. It's nice weather here right now. Atlanta, like many cities in the country right now, is going through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So the song I'm gonna play is just seeing everything that has been happening in cities around the country, and particularly in Minneapolis. Um, I've been to protests before. I went to protests and marches in college and stuff, but nothing like what's going on now. They were a lot more tame, and I have just been really I was really trying to hype myself up for it and like get ready and you know get prepared and like, okay, I'm gonna stand my ground, and I'm gonna be there, and I'm gonna make a difference. And I 100% did not. I went to the protest, and we did the march, and we we did the march, and we did a bunch of chanting, and it was great. And as soon as the tear gas started flying, I got the fuck out of there. And after all this prep I had done, I just felt embarrassed.
And the police were just attacking the entire march because of presumably because of the actions of a few people, and they could just collectively punish and go after everybody with tear gas, right? Is that what's going on?
Yeah. It's pretty much the story happening everywhere right now.
That's just totally provocative. Yeah.
Yeah, the police are the ones that are antagonizing.
Totally.
Right
everywhere.
Now. And so I came home from that, and I just kind of felt like shit, because I felt like I what's the point of going if I'm not gonna stick around when the going gets tough? And I just felt really embarrassed, and and like on the one hand, it was my first big boy protest. So cut myself a little slack, but on the other hand, I've got some work to do. So I did.
There's also a lot of different ways to make a difference. I mean, it's when there's people going around shooting at protesters and driving cars into protests, and I mean, actually showing up to one of those so-called nonviolent protests is often very life risking, and of course breathing tear gas and then sticking around for the evening's melee is can also be dangerous as well. I mean, that it's not to say that it's there's not lots of useful things to be doing after curfew at night when there are police roaming around the city attacking everybody. There's all kinds of useful things you can do, but I'm just encouraging you not to feel bad for going home. So there's a lot of different things you can do. I think organizing a general strike, if we were, I mean, not to be holding court here, I'm just the host, but I think if we had general strikes and rent strikes going on in this country, like we'd have a lot less buildings on fire, because that energy could be focused in different directions. But the labor movement, unfortunately, has been pretty pathetic for the past 80 years or so. So, here we are.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm off my soapbox. What you got for us?
So this is a song that I wrote late that night. Just trying to just work through some of that stuff that I was feeling about how I just got really wrapped up in my head about how I was gonna do this, and how I was gonna make a difference, and it turned into kind of this weird vanity project of like, I'm going to a protest, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do the thing, and then just
take a selfie.
Yeah, exactly. And there was a lot of that going on as well. There were a lot of people that were there, and like I feel like at the heart of it, I was there because I care about the cause. And I feel like I saw a lot of people who were there, and like bodies and signs and voices are always great, but like a lot of people were there taking selfies, and like had, picked out cute outfits and stuff. And then I looked at myself and I was like, oh, well, I kind of, in a way, I kind of did that too. So how can I learn from that and do better in the future? This is a protest song. Yeah, get the lyrics just in case. Yeah, this is a protest song. I really want people to know that I went to the protest. Hang on, okay, that was weird. I really want people to know that I went to the protest. But I don't want them to know that I was too much of a pussy to stick around until the tear gas. I really, really, really want to talk about the protest. But I fled at the first sight of danger and I went to Taco Bell. I had my first Baja Blast. My throat was sore from chanting. Oh, I went to the protest and I had a blast, and now my PBR is decanting. It's a good year. Oh, I went to a protest. Yes, I went to a protest. Look at me, I'm a protester. Ooh, I went to a protest. I stayed up all night before doing arts and crafts and listening to folk punk. I was prepping for a civil war by doing arts and crafts and listening to folk punk. I got so damn excited that I lost track of time. I got out all my ski gear and I painted a pretty sign. Okay, so it was like the American flag, but it was upside down, which is a distress signal for when American lives are in danger. And then I wrote SOS on it in big letters, and I wrote Black Lives Matter on the other side in Sharpie, but my Sharpie ran out halfway through, so it was kind of faint and thin, but that's not the point. See, the point is that I went to a protest. Yes, I went to a protest. Look at me, I'm a protester. Ooh, I went to a protest. When the going got tough, I got going away. I didn't even get to use my baking soda spray. What the hell was all my Twitter protest research for? Well, I've been quiet for too damn long and I wanted to write you a protest song, but I just can't shake the feeling that I should be doing more. But the part that's most embarrassing, it's most disappointing, was that all those people crammed in one place really made me horny. Okay, give me a break. I mean, it's a pandemic and we've been quarantined for months, and suddenly you're in a sea of thousands of people and everybody's hot and sweaty and stinky and we're all wearing masks and screaming at the top of our lungs. And okay, I went to a protest. Yes, I went to a protest. Look at me, I'm a protester. Ooh, I went to a protest. Everybody, I went to a protest. Yes, I went to a protest. Look at me, I'm a protester. Oh, I went to a protest.
Oh my goodness. I hope anybody else out there was as entertained as I was. Oh my goodness, there's a whole lot of comments to it. Just got 12. Yeah, everybody loves that song. There's universal love happening. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for writing that song, Bergie. I feel much better now. Great. Brilliant. Hope to see you next week. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
Oh, yes. Great. Bergie in Decatur, Georgia. I went to a protest and then moving back up the I-95 corridor, another few hundred miles, but not quite as far as Massachusetts, up to New York City. Joe Landy, great to see you again.
Hi, David. It's been an interesting couple of days, hasn't it?
It's been very, very newsworthy.
Yeah. So one of the things that's jumping out from and at me is in a COVID world where we have civil unrest and protest. What is the importance of sports anymore?
Sports. No, there's a very important question. I was thinking the same thing when the sports sector thing came up on National Public Radio on Saturday. Like the music just seemed so wrong at the time, that they come up, for the intro to the sports segment,
And you realize how much energy and interest there is in professional sport, college sports, hundreds of thousands of people meeting in various cities on any given Saturday afternoon. There hasn't been televised professional sports for a couple of months, and we're alive. It couldn't have been that important, So, but sports has always been. I grew up when I was a kid. I wanted to be a professional baseball player. When I realized I couldn't do that, I went to announcing school. I was going to be involved professionally, and I guess I didn't want it bad enough, so it didn't happen. But I want to live long enough to see the day where a policeman putting a knee on somebody's neck is equally as important as Colin Kaepernick taking a knee on a football field,
Yeah.
And it came out this week that, it's official now. The reason that Kaepernick couldn't get a job wasn't because of talent. It was definitely because of his protesting. That's more than public knowledge at this point. Anyway, this song is about sports in a way. It's about a social issue and the importance of good health. Do you know who Chris Borland is? Chris Borland was an All-American. He played one season in the NFL and stopped playing because of CTE. The chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which affects so many players. And you might recognize this tune as The Ballad of Penny Evans by Steve Goodman. Let me get a tune here. My name is Chris Borland, and the story I will tell. I used to make a living playing in the NFL. I left the league after 1 year. I am only 24. 30 concussions to my name. I won't do this anymore. I was an All-American, and I went high in the draft. Though I wasn't big and I wasn't fast, I was expert at my craft. There's not a feeling that compares to that crunching sound when you hit a man with all you have and you smash him to the ground. My rookie season in the league, I paid a player's dues. I led the team in tackles. Some were highlights on the news. I was a fearless hardhead, a defensive coach's dream. My safety did not matter. I could take one for the team. There were days I can't remember. There were days I was confused. I came to the conclusion that I have too much to lose. I decided to retire and give back my bonus pay. And I don't judge the folks who watch. That's not for me to say. Now, some fans see me as a danger to their game. League owners and commissioners all look at me the same. Would you let your son play football? Would you still watch them play? That decision is yours to make. I chose to walk away. I gave back the money, but I want to keep my health. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy is not worth any wealth. Frequent subconcussive blows will claim a player's brain. 30% get Alzheimer's disease or dementia. That's insane. Do the research. Read the names. There is a smoking gun. Junior Seau took his life, but he's not the only one. An aging gladiator can only get in the way. He served his purpose. It's next man up as the young go out to play. The NFL does know this well, but they run a tight machine. $1 billion business with a brand to keep and clean. At every turn with facts we learn, the league has still denied. Now they say they can make it safe when large athletes collide. As much as I still love the game, I don't watch on TV. And I don't trust the NFL and what they do to me. It's time to get on with my life. I wish everybody well, especially my teammates. Please take care of yourself. My name is Chris Borland, and when I was a kid, I wish to be remembered for the danger that I did. Some think that I was dangerous for the blows upon my head. Now some think I'm danger 'cause I walked away instead.
Fantastic. And if you're singing that song for your students at school, how many kids are quitting the football team as soon as
Oh
they
no,
hear it?
I haven't sung this one for my students at school yet. It's an interesting thing, David. I don't overtly mix what I do with what I'm paid to do.
You got some kind of thing about keeping your job, huh? Well, you're kind of attached to the idea of not getting fired?
But we do it in different ways. You know,
Yeah.
we teach lessons and ask questions and have people think about it and talk about it.
It's
You know,
a
if you're
very
wondering
powerful
what
song.
Borland, thank you. What Borland's doing now, he's working with PTSD veterans and former athletes, you know, gladiator stuff. Although he has found
30% Alzheimer's.
there are different statistics you could read, but that's one of them. And I have nothing to disprove that. I do know that these bulletproof gladiators, when they're in their mid-40s and 50s, they have arthritis. Some of them like walk across the room very slowly.
Yeah.
And you get to see that on television too. Anyway, that's the other side of reality. Thank you for
so
giving me
much,
this
Joel.
opportunity. Keep going. Keep doing this.
Absolutely. Hope to see you next week.
I'll be here.
Take care.
Okay.
And then hopping back across the Atlantic. And by the way, there's plenty of your room in the queue if you happen to be one of those people who were trying to get in the queue near the beginning of the open mic and you got rejected because there were too many people in the queue. There is lots of room in the queue. So, please try again. And but as it is, there are two more folks, unless any of you who are trying to get in before try again and get in there, then there will be more than two more folks. But they are two of the best performers on the planet, actually, to not exaggerate at all. And moving now immediately to the man who I think is one of the best songwriters ever to write in English, Robb Johnson. Hello. Great to see you. Not to like raise expectations too much, but you're about to do an amazing song, I think. That's my prediction.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'll do a bit. Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Well, he moved to Minnesota to start his life again. This time he was gonna do it right. Somewhere where no one knows you, who you are or where you've been, but you can tell yourself before you sleep at night, I did good. I did good. I did good. I did good. Well, he's never gonna make $1 million, but he's got an honest job, even though the honest jobs don't pay. Did his best to fall in love, take care of the kids. It's not a lot to ask, just to be able to say, I did good. I did good. I did good. I did good. He had all the usual details. Play football for his school, but that soon counts for nothing, 'cause always on your back there's all the usual trouble. Driving while black. Driving while black. Well, he moved to Minnesota and he turned his life around. But whatever car you're in, your skin's still black. Some fool calls the law over a $20 bill, and there's a white policeman leaning on his neck, kneeling on his neck, saying, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. 8 minutes. I can't breathe. Big Floyd moved to Minnesota and he turned his life around. Yeah, Big Floyd moved to Minnesota and he turned his life around. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Big Floyd moved to Minnesota. He turned his life around.
Absolutely gorgeous. You did not disappoint. Thank you so much, Rob. Gorgeous. Hope to see you again soon.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And are you doing any kind of regular broadcasting on some kind of basis that people might find you? Where can they find you?
On the Robb Johnson official Facebook, I've been doing a broadcast every Sunday night at 8 o'clock, and they're all. I think I've done about 5 now, and they've seemed to have got longer and longer. People send in requests for songs that I really have forgotten or had stopped wanting to play years ago. So they're quite challenging, and so I have to learn a whole lot of songs for every Sunday night. But they're all on Facebook somewhere, and of course they're all out of sync as well. So that makes it another added attraction for anybody wanting to catch up with them. But there's another one that's coming Sunday as well.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rob.
Thanks for having me
again.
Mike.
Thank you.
Take care.
And that's 8 p.m. Sunday GMT, which is 3 p.m. in New York, noon here on the West Coast. And Robb Johnson, ROBB, just put in 2 B's and you'll find him on Facebook. And closing out this spectacular open mic that we've been having here is my old friend Chris Chandler, currently in New Jersey, originally from Decatur, Georgia, where Bergie is also from a few guests ago.
I'm hoping that this microphone is working for you.
Oh, we're having some really weird audio, some serious static going on. Sorry, phone problems. Yes, most definitely. Log in and be back. Yeah. Come back. Come back. We'll just hold down the fort, and you log in again, maybe with some other device or something, perhaps, hopefully. And yeah, that sounds like the phone took a bath, or something happened to that phone. But I just spent the day yesterday with a recording project, and there was, there's always something. There's always some wire that can have a hissing noise going on there. But Rob, are you still there? By the way, are you still in that? No, we're just looking at Rob's room, or we're spying on Robb Johnson's room here. Mr. Johnson. Let's see. I'm just noticing who's in here. Who's in here? Bergie, are you there? He's hey, not to just we were just waiting for Chris Chandler to come back because he's having connectivity issues, and I thought I'd just see if you had another song off the top of your head you could sing for us. Yeah? Oh, wonderful. Good. We'll have Chris Chandler close out the open mic after Bergie does another song.
Let me adjust this. Cool. This is a song. It started out, I wrote this as a poem, and it was very different. Like 4 years ago, when I was my parents are in the Air Force, and they were stationed in Seoul, South Korea at the time, and I was visiting them. And I wrote a poem one day when I was out of the park and just feeling very existential. And then that poem just kind of sat in my head and kept popping up. And eventually, a couple months ago, it popped up again and decided to turn into a song. And this is that song. It's called Formaldehyde. Preserve our parks, our parts, our souls, and our hearts. Our farts, put them in jars, behind walls, behind bars, and surround them with cars so that we can see and we can remember from a safe distance exactly who we are. I want to be an old Korean man playing Jonggi. A crowd of other old Korean men gathered round, placing bets and calling next. I want to be an anime schoolgirl making her way through Roppongi to meet with her friends for some tea and some gossip and some karaoke. La da 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 la da 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 I want to be an army recruit, young, dumb, and brute, with nothing to do but fuck up and be subsequently disciplined. I want to be an American with actual struggles and no safety net, so I can feel like all my whining is justified. Preserve our parks, our parts, our souls, and our hearts. Our shopping carts, light them up like stars, behind walls, behind bars, and drive around them in cars so that we can see and we can try to remember from CDC recommended distance exactly who we were.
Wonderful. Your music is very therapeutic. Fantastic. And more echoes of Kimya Dawson.
Yeah, that feels like a very Kimya Dawson song.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Thanks again for filling in. Let's see. We'll come back to Chris now. And then let's see. What is
Working
Chris
better now?
sounding like? Much better. Much better.
That working better? Good, good. Sorry about that. I just
No
sort of
problem.
started happening about 3 minutes into the last performer there, so I didn't get to hear any of them. But I've been enjoying what you're doing here. I'm glad you're doing it, and thanks for inviting me to do it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And you got a piece that you just recently rewrote. Yeah.
So I'll just launch right into it here.
Wonderful.
Because I think that the problem with the phone is that as it gets warm, the microphone starts going out. So I'll do it now.
Yeah, something's happening, and there's also a delay, so I'll just get off.
Yeah. People say we got a race problem in this country. I say, yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem because you call it a race. A race where you start off one group of people 20 miles behind the starting line, and you call it a race. And as soon as they start to catch up, you slap on a fashionable set of leg irons, and you still call it a race. That's not a race problem. What that is a problem with the race. You ever wonder why so many impoverished youth in this country will kill each other over a pair of running shoes? It's because you call it a race, and they think they have a chance. But I'm here to say that it is not a race, because the world is round. And because the world is round, if it were a race, whoever is in first place is slightly behind the guy in last. And if I were you, I'd be looking over my shoulders, because my name is George Floyd. My name is Ahmaud Arbery. And my name is still and always will be Michael Brown. It's not a race problem. It's a problem with the race. And it's a race where all over the country, the poor are disenfranchised by redistricting known as gerrymandering. So that when I look into a congressional district map in this country, it looks like a giant Rorschach test. And when I take that Rorschach test, all I see is an enormous Colonel Sanders standing next to a tiny Uncle Ben and even tinier Aunt Jemima. That's not a race problem. That's a problem with the race. For example, the state of Mississippi has a 40% black population, yet only 8% of its elected officials are black. You do the math. And don't get me started on voter suppression, because I am from Georgia and my name is Stacey Abrams. That's not a race problem. That's a problem with the race. And right now, today, at this moment where we speak, all over the country, there are two different kinds of protests going on. One, people protesting their right to help spread a disease that disproportionately affects people of color. So to those of you protesting in front of state capitals, carrying automatic weapons and carrying Confederate flags so that we can all live free and die, I got a couple of questions for you. If it is heritage, not hate, why don't you show me just how much heritage you have by being a Southern gentleman about it and apologizing? Because being a Southern gentleman is the only part of my heritage I don't hate. Because I too am Southern. My ancestors too fought in the Civil War. And I know that in the South, we have a long tradition of surrendering. But you know as well as I do that if it had been 300 armed black men, not just armed, but carrying automatic weapons, going inside of a state house, the one thing we would have is gun control. But if you want real gun control in this country, the way to get it would be to actually form a real, well-regulated militia, a militia of poor people protecting themselves against the thievery of the rich. That'd get you gun control real fast. But as long as it remains poor people killing poor people for chump change, they'll let you keep your guns. But I don't follow your logic on gun control, because isn't an armed street gang a lot closer to a well-regulated militia than a neighborhood watch group? My name is still Trayvon Martin. It's not a race problem. It's a problem with the race. When 1 in 3 black men will wind up in state, local, or federal penitentiaries, yet 1 in 75 whites will ever go there. People of color are 17 times more likely to be pulled over for no particular reason. And of those pulled over, 50% more likely to have their vehicle searched, and 100% more likely to be genuinely afraid of their lives when they do it. And today, in America, we have a greater income gap than there was in South Africa at the heart of apartheid. And that income gap has grown 40% in my lifetime. So when you ask, why are people burning down their neighborhoods? Hey, have you got bus fare? Make sure you curb your dog. Now, people got to sleep on these streets. You ask why people are burning down their own neighborhoods? No, they are not burning down their neighborhoods. They are burning down businesses owned by people who do not live in their neighborhood and take their profits out of their neighborhoods. You say street riots are not the answer? Well, answer me this. Did you honestly listen when we simply took a knee and had a silent protest? You can't have it both ways. My name is Breonna Taylor. I am Oscar Grant. I am Nathaniel Woods. I am Stephon Clark. I am Antoine Rose Jr. I am Oshawana Jefferson. I am Rodney King. I am too many to name. It's not a black problem or a white problem. It is a class problem. However, systemic racial prejudice has kept far too many people of color below the poverty line, and disproportionate incarceration has decimated American communities. So that it's not just a class problem, it is an American problem. But ladies and gentlemen, I have a dream. I have a dream. I dream of a day where a man is judged by the contents of his character and not the contents of his wallet. It's not a race problem. It is a problem with the race.
Yes. Chris Chandler, thank you so much. And
thanks for doing this, Dave. I appreciate it. Keep up the good work, my friend. It's good to hear from you, and nice talking to you the other day. And thanks for inviting me to this.
Oh, thank you for coming on. And also, people can hear you regularly delivering a poem. Is that every day at noon?
I'm doing now a weekly broadcast. I did over 60 of them every day, just doing a poem a day.
Wow.
I've reduced it down to one a week. So I'm doing the poem of the week every Monday at noon. And I'm doing that from my Facebook page at present. It'll probably be going out to some other platforms at some point.
And that's just Chris Chandler. Oh, and Facebook, what?
ChrisChandler.org. Yeah, Facebook.
Okay, Chris Chandler.org, because there's a lot of Chris Chandler. Chris Chandler.org, yeah.
Very, very common name. But I'm an organizer, not a communist. I'm a .org, not a .com.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks so much.
Good to see you, my friends. Glad
Good
to
to see you. Thank you. That's Chris Chandler, currently living in New Jersey, originally from Decatur. Where Georgia are you from? Stone Mountain, Georgia, originally. The Bergie lives in Decatur, but anyway, I digress. This has been the 6th Pandemic Open Mic Monday in the series, broadcast on the Facebook pages of Popular Resistance, KBOO Community Radio, and various other platforms that are like my channel on YouTube and Periscope and Twitter, Facebook and elsewhere. And if you want to sign up for a future open mic, it's at davidrovics.com/POMM for Pandemic Open Mic Monday. You can both watch it and sign up for the next one there. And for the rest of the week, I'm still broadcasting every weekday for the foreseeable future. And I will be doing the second Fifth Estate Live. I'll be hosting tomorrow. Produced by Peter Werby, editor and founder of Fifth Estate Magazine, every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT. That'll be happening tomorrow, and then Wednesday through Friday at the same time, same channels. I will be interviewing other fascinating guests in what I call the Discussions with David show. Thanks so much for tuning in, and hope to see you in cyberspace and in the streets as well. Don't pay the rent. Mutual aid will get us through. Bye-bye for now.